Ooh, baby. Back at it again. Anime and beer. We talk about the latest manga, comics, anime, you name it. Just crack open a cold one. Let's dive in. Cheers. Oh my god, title of this movie, spoilers are ahead. Cut us off now if you haven't seen it. The new My Hero movie, the third one in the installment. Here we go. Also, too, if you go see the movie, you get this cool little manga snippet of the manuscript of the movie. But yeah, the World Heroes Mission movie. Alright, rating. Do we want to do stars or like number 1 through 10? What would you rate it? I'm gonna give it 4.5 stars.
Okay, we're doing stars. Okay.
9.5 on the number scale. I'll just throw above.
I'm gonna give it 4.5 as well.
4.5 as well. Okay.
And I actually have my reasons. I don't know if you have your reasons or if you're just.
Everybody has an opinion.
Mine is more so comparison and also pros and cons. What I like and what I didn't like about the movie.
Got you. And then we're going to dive into that and talk about that a little bit more and kind of, definitely go see the movie. Hands down, go see the movie. For sure.
At this point in time, spoiler warning right now.
Cut us off in 3, 2, 1.
Spoiler.
So, the movie... Okay. My first con with it was the stealth suits. We only got those for 2 minutes. Those suits were so cool. Those suits, right here on the cover, guys, like the suits you see in all the commercials and everything like that, like Twitter, everything. Like I thought the suits were the movie. To be honest with you, I was like, this is it. Everybody's getting badass suits. They're getting suits. These other people gotta get suits too. It's only right.
But piggyback off of that, which is probably gonna be a lot of piggybacking. Like his cons, I may be able to explain. He might be able to explain my cons. His pros, I might be able to say, but, and vice versa. But if that was bad for you, but
good.
It wasn't misleading though. They never imply that these were new. We saw it visually. Oh, they have new suits. But they never said, this is the new drip.
And what I like about that is they didn't do with other movie trailers and things like that. They literally only previewed and spoiled us the first 5 minutes. And it was those suits. And it's World Heroes Mission. So it takes place obviously in the My Hero universe, where they're stopping this global villain, Fleck, who is trying to get rid of metahumans, which we've seen many times before in other hero franchises.
That's pretty much a staple. We've seen it with mutants.
We've seen it with mutants. We've seen it with in DC where they're trying to get rid of the Justice League.
Static with the Bane Baby.
Yeah, we've seen it with Static.
Black Lightning.
They've done it. The concept has been used before, but what I love about this one was it was very Justice League-esque vibe. How they had different divisions and different groups, and their work studies were involved. And since they were with their work study teachers, they were stationed where they need to be. We had some in America. Obviously, we had Japan. We had Africa. We had Europe. I think they made this country up, Odeon or something like that, maybe, but it looked like it was Western Europe. The new character, Rhodey, I liked him. Parkour!
Shout out to Julie.
Yeah, shout out to Julie.
All three of us did it at the same
we all did
it.
And what I really loved too is I loved how the use of the animation wasn't so much in, that's probably another reason why he didn't use the suits, was the animation going into that and the color ray and everything like that, keeping it lighthearted and then keeping the talking scenes and the interaction scenes very simple, but the action scenes and the fight scenes is really where we got to see the animation and the color ray and everything really shine.
Let's talk about the animation, which was honestly one of my cons and contributed to the 0.5 instead of the full 5.
Okay.
I don't know if you saw it, but me personally, I seen a handful of animation drops. In the beginning segment, animation was beautiful. It was like, wow,
definitely
this is what we're getting.
Definitely pulled you in.
Certain animations, I was like, wait a minute.
They dumbed it down. Down for sure.
Pretty much. I can't show you guys because copyright.
But we don't want to spoil anything.
When we first got introduced to Rhodey, did you see how that plane flew in?
Yeah, it was very freeze framed. And it was very like lucid.
Yeah,
I guess is the word. But at the end of the movie, when the plane flew back over, it was very detailed. Mm-hmm. Which, I mean, animation that's a hit or miss wherever you go. But I get it because actually, like, I had issue with some things too.
Yeah, but like I said, it is hit or miss. But to see it and notice it and it bother you, that's
I think it's because we were so spoiled with the animation, of course, with the last movie, Heroes Rising. Like that like stuck at home full.
I think what it is, the last movie, I have to think it was all in one place on one island. They had a stretch, and there were so many heroes, and there were so many different concepts. So I understand it, but it honestly is still a con to me because it's like, okay, the airplane was like where I first noticed it, and I'm like, that was very lazy. I'm like, you were just better off just not showing a plane landing. You should have just scanned the country and just left the plane out. It looked lazy.
Yeah, well, even that, a little bit more with the story. So, like I said, with the story and the concept of that, when they weren't fighting yet, you could definitely see the transition of the animation.
Oh yeah, when we got to the fight scenes,
it was like this is where all the money's at. This is where all the money's at. And I mean, hell, even that Pharaoh hero, the one that looked like a when he was running, just show a picture of him. Show a picture of them. Yeah, like I said, guys, if you go to the movie, they're giving out these manuscripts / manga things that they're giving out for free when you go see the movie, which is super cool. Limited, and this is super cool. I got one. He got one.
His name was Salam.
Salam, yeah, there he is, and he does look like that the whole movie. He looks like
exactly
a hieroglyph. He looks like a hieroglyph the whole movie. That's how he looks. He's not 3D at all. He's not 3-dimensional. He's literally
that is how he's introduced. He's looking to the side.
He's looking to the side. We're all talking to the heroes, and he's like, and he's running, and like his feet were overlapping each other like this. That was comedy. I love how we all picked up on that when we were watching it. He came up on the scene in the heroes meeting. It's like heroes, and it cut to the scenes, and we were all like, "What the fuck?"
It panned past, and like we weren't going to notice. It's like, wait a minute, is he 2D?
Yeah, we're like, yeah, that's what I said. I said, wait a minute.
How do you 2D a 2D movie?
You can't sneak that in there and think we didn't notice that. And you do get to see a lot of other heroes shine in the movie, and you're gonna have questions and like, well, why wasn't this person there and that person there? What I really loved, and also too, what I loved about the movie, it was very Mission Impossible. Like, we have to like narrow this search down, because what I loved, the idea was, it was kind of like All for One with the bombs when they set off. They were only gonna trigger your mutagen gene, or like your metahuman gene, like we've seen in other shows. And if you are a metahuman, or if your quirk wasn't activated yet, it's going to be activated now. It's going to be force fed. And that was very, very like, hey, I'll stamp that. I love that, like, world domination. Let's get rid of the metahumans. Yes, we've seen it before, but I love how it's coming to anime. And and even though so many comic books and so many other heroes have done this before, and so many villains have done this before, I like how it finally, and like that's the gateway. It's My Hero Academia, and I love that also too. The blood stepped up. They're making it more serious and more gritty, because the anime is about to start the war arc. So get ready for that, guys. And what I really loved too was, dude, the fight scenes are on point. They were really good. I loved the transitions, and I loved how they finally gave Todoroki some shine. I think he needed more. That's just me. I think he needed more.
He has his spot coming up with Dabi, though.
I think he does. I think that's definitely going to be like where all the Todoroki fans are going to be like, yes, finally.
And to jump ahead here, I kind of got to talk about him. They gave Bakugo his shine in this movie because of what's happening in the manga. I think
his fan base,
when they get to the manga, what happened in the manga, I'm not going to spoil that for the readers or anybody. But that's why we got where Bakugo is now. I felt like that was kind of like retribution. Like, in the manga, we didn't jank him. But we kind of fucked them up.
Yeah,
so we're gonna make a for it in the movie.
We gonna give Bakugo some shine. And like, if you weren't about like everybody, I think in the beginning, like the Bakugo fan base was either very small, and everybody was like fuck that guy. I can't stand
I was
him.
like that.
Yeah, and I think we both were like that. Yeah, and now we're like, bro. And I said it to you before we even walked in the movie theater. I was like, yo, if Bakugo doesn't get some shine in this movie, and he had the best fight scene. The best fight scene was Bakugo. The best fight scene was Bakugo. Hands down, the best one. And, diving a little bit more into the story, we meet a guy named Rhodey who has a quirk, but we don't figure it out. And we're
literally until the
end. Bakugo, they basically pulled a No Way Home. Deku's wanted for the police because, villains get involved in paying the police department they basically said Bakugo's I got so much love for Bakugo right now. Deku's a murderer, and of course we all know that's not the case. And he ends up leaving town on this mission to find Fleck to take out these bombs, and they're in a fellow country. And we get to learn a little bit more about Rhodey and his upbringing and things like that. And of course, Endeavor's there because that's how they got there in the first place, because all the heroes are summoned. And, I loved the parkour scene with Rhodey when,
it was out of nowhere.
It was out of nowhere, and I loved it because also, too, we got to see how far Deku's come with Black Whip. And that was really, really cool. The scene on the bridge.
That was Spider-Man. That game just
Spider-Man, clean.
Spider-Man.
Color was there. Animation was there. The maneuvering, everything was there. And, dude, it was really, really, really cool how they transitioned and panned out, zoomed out the camera, came back in, zoomed out the camera, came back in.
You understood, watching the movie, you definitely understood every placement. You understood where everything was. It wasn't your typical... And we always use Dragon Ball as an example.
Even the One Piece movies,
it gets clustered. It's like a big blob.
Yeah,
it's like who's fighting, but you don't know who just got uppercut or anything. With this movie, it's like you knew every placement. You knew. Okay, that's a bus. Okay, that's Deku.
Yeah.
He just hopped over the bus. Okay, Black Whip under the bridge. This is not what happened, but pretty much
when he swung down and got Rhodey right at that last minute, and the car slipped by. I was like, "That's cold." That took some edge.
You understood it,
and I appreciate the artists and the production company, everybody that did this movie, because dude, I'll watch it again. We're gonna cop all. I think we're just gonna cop all the DVDs, just binge them one day, just randomly. We got 5 hours to spare. And also, too, we get to learn a little bit about Rhodey and not only his sport, but him as a person. And he's just trying to protect his little brother and little sister, which I can relate. I'm a big brother. And I know what it's like to take responsibility for younger kids. And I taught martial arts, taking care of kids. I get it. It's a huge responsibility. So that was really cool. We got to see that sentimental side of him and get a little more backstory on him. But I was getting frustrated, but I get why they did it. And they kept giving us a little bit of a piece of Rhodey's backstory here, then about 10 more minutes in the movie than here, then about 20 more minutes in the movie than here, and I was like, just tell me his freaking story already.
They couldn't.
Exactly.
They literally, if they did, run the credits.
Exactly.
And literally, they did. It's if they did it in one sitting, you might just roll the credits afterwards, because it's just, okay, you're going to guess literally everything afterwards. My predictions were honestly wrong. My mental predictions, I'm like, I did the typical, the bad guy's his father. Duh.
Yeah.
When you
find out why, because Rhodey's father helped create this the device to eliminate metahumans. And when they finally found out about the bombs, because in the beginning they couldn't find the bombs, and then all of a sudden they could. So I was kind of like, why? And then, we fast forward a little bit.
That was a little
space. That was one of my complaints. I was like, you couldn't find him at the beginning, but all of a sudden you can. I was like, okay, I get it, because we're coming to the climax, and it's a movie, and I get that. But you could have took a little more time, be a little more in depth,
because the way, I mean, cut you off, but the first end, they literally set it up to where none of the henchmen knew anything. None of the followers, none of the henchmen, they knew nothing. So it's like, okay, so where'd you even get the information from? At least you should have left. He could have had a right-hand man or something that can say, oh yeah, the bombs are here, we hit them around the countries.
I figured it out too. You know who Fleck reminds me of? The villain in the movie, you know, I just figured it out just now.
Like his powers or his
his demeanor, his character. He reminds me of Magneto.
Yeah.
He reminds me of Magneto. And his ability was cool, but, you know, when the final fight, and we'll get there because there's still a lot more meat to this sandwich. Obviously, Deku fights the main villain. And fast forward to it when what I thought was really cool was how Todoroki, Bakugo, and Deku are all sticking together. I love how they have a camaraderie now.
Oh, yeah.
And I love how they are like they're the new big three. They are, you know. And what I loved about it was kind of like, all right, your reckless person was definitely Bakugo. Your brains were Deku. And then your stealth and maneuvering was Todoroki.
In your what's the word? What's the phrase?
Like an X Factor, or like
Todoroki is kind of like your the moral compass.
Yeah, morale. Yes, yes, it's better. And, you know, they obviously go to meet up with Rhodey and Deku because they're like, all right, we're coming to you. Found him. And I love how they told him to get rid of his SIM card and his battery in his phone so he couldn't be tracked. I did like that. That was a small detail. That was a little detail, but I was like, okay, they're picking up on how to stay stealthy. That's why I said I gave Todoroki the stealth card, because he knows how to lay low.
Well, he did it again when they finally found him. Mm-hmm. And he's like, you need to work on your coding because it sucks.
and he did. That was another thing too I loved was the coding. They're also learning how to send codes as heroes. Mm-hmm. You know, Deku sent Todoroki a text to let him know that he's okay and where he's at. And I was like, bro, that's Batman. That's totally badass.
Well, they did it again when they fought Stain. First, when they fought Stain, and Todoroki looked at it like,
it's a message.
Well, what is he talking about?
It's a message. Yeah, the detective skills are definitely there, which I love how they're not just basing this show on their powers, but also their knowledge and how they're becoming heroes. They have to do some detective work. It doesn't matter if you're Superman or Batman, you still got to crack the code. You got to figure something out. You got to figure this thing out. And sometimes it doesn't take all this, and you got to figure it out with this and this. And I was like, bro, the morality of my hero, I love it so much. And we're kind of fast forwarding a little bit, shoving some details down your throat. And the big thing I know you guys want to hear is the fight sequences and how those played out. And we're gonna get to it. Full
breakdown.
Yeah, full breakdown of the fights are coming. And you know, now they finally found out, because Fleck was hiding the whole movie, but he was a typical villain. He was right under your nose. Yeah, he was the typical hiding under your nose. They finally figure it out, and they roll up.
Let me talk about how they find out.
Oh, is that like one of your cons with it or one of your pros with it?
That was just a funny moment. So the person who actually found him was the person you least expect. Bakugo.
Yeah.
So they end up finding shout
out to Bakugo with the tech read.
They found like a SD card that had like a whole bunch of information on it, and to kind of like backtrack a little bit. So pretty much there was a member of the what's the name of the company? I can't remember.
The evil organization?
Yeah, it was called Humane.
It was, oh god, damn it! Like, what do we? It was something society, the Right Society, or like.
Oh no.
It probably doesn't show what it is, but the evil organization. We'll figure it out and plug it in later. I mean, the
evil organization.
Because we just watched this movie last night, and
of course we would forget.
We would forget one thing, like a big. I thought I was going to forget names, and like that's a big factor too. The society, to what they call.
But yeah, so there was a member. He found out. Pretty much, long story short, people were held against their will. He got the information, escaped. 2 briefcases got swapped. That's how Rhodey got involved.
Which I'm kind of mad we didn't get more of him involved. That random guy with the eye patch in the beginning of the movie, because that was the key. And like they're carrying around that briefcase, because Rhodey was a petty thief. That's how he paid the bills for his family.
But yeah, so. The briefcase just had an SD card in it and a key to solve the problem. Mm-hmm. And Bakugo was like, pretty much just Give me an idiot.
Here, watch this.
Look at the.
What was the last file loaded?
Yeah, like the last file loaded. He's looking at date stamps, time stamps, and he's like. Then he had the audacity to call like Deku a nerd.
And he knew all the tech stuff.
Yeah, and he knew all the tech stuff.
I was surprised and impressed with that. Because that just goes to show he's got brains. He's not stupid. Yeah. Kind of like in the anime when we watched the scene, and you've read it before in the manga, where they did the team arc again, where they were battling against Class 1B. Mm-hmm. And he was like, I got your back, you got mine, we're working together, we cover each other's tracks, we're doing this. And don't doubt yourself for a second. Just, we'll get there, and then I'll finish off the mission. And I was like...
won the whole thing.
He's like, going, he like went 4-0, and like... How can you not love Bakugo at this point? He is... Okay, I'm going to go ahead and say this probably the first time I said it. He's the Vegeta and Sasuke we always wanted. Bakugo is. He is. And you gotta give him his flaws. He does have flaws. But him coming into his development and him coming into his own person is such a great writing and reading to see. Because just because the guy's macho man over here lifting weights doesn't mean he doesn't have a brain or a heart. Like he can still contribute. And to counteract other shonen characters, look what Sasuke and Vegeta did. They went and joined the bad guy because they were pissed because the main character was doing better than him. And he told the main character, F off. Screw you. He told the main villain, like, no, I'm not a villain. He's like, I just like beating your guys' asses. And I was like, that's rugged, that's raw, I love it. I love it. I love Bakugo. He's definitely...
Spare me.
Yeah.
People think I'm doing this to save the world. But in actuality, I just like to fight it. But let's talk about Bakugo. I know we need to move forward, but Bakugo had like a good bit of moments.
He did.
Especially when they were in the office with Endeavor. And Endeavor was like, I told you guys to leave the petty crimes to the police officers.
Well,
and
he was like, been a better teacher.
Yeah, he was like, you should have been a better teacher and taught us how to ignore the petty crimes. Everybody
in the theater laughed. Everybody in the theater laughed. He's like, well, you should have told us how to ignore crime, idiot. I was like, dude, he's my spirit animal for sure.
That, and Endeavor has his hands full with just Bakugo alone. It's just...
I mean, like, definitely the sentimental aspect, you gotta give more to Deku. But the introvertness, and you can relate, because we're best friends. And I'm an extrovert, and you're an introvert. Like, Todoroki's definitely the introvert of the group. He's like, okay, I'm just socially awkward. And we know you are. We know you are. Like, you have the best, probably, arguably, second best quirk in your class. And you're like, hi, I'm Shoto Todoroki. I like soup and long walks on the beach. And I'm like, this is not what I expected from this guy.
And I have daddy issues.
Oh, yeah, by the way, I have parental issues. My mom threw a hot pot in my face.
Because she reminds her of the men she married. Who hates all of us.
and, you know, like, the thing is like, when you see these characters and how far they've come, because the series has been out, 4 years now? And look at everything they've accomplished. Look at
Tiara brought that up. She was like, you've been watching My Hero for a long time. And I'm like, I've been watching My Hero since I met her.
Mm-hmm. It's been 4 or 5 years, man.
Yeah.
The series is beautiful. I love it, man. And a big thing I've said before is the hero concept. The Western comics have finally met anime and manga. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why, everybody's like, the fan base. A lot of the fan base is uninformed. If you haven't read a superhero comic book before or watched a superhero show or movie, you can't relate. We grew up in the 90s. We had Batman, we had the Superman series, we had Justice League. We've had a plethora of things to be spoiled with. So My Hero was a much easier way to us to adapt to. We've been watching Metahumans since we were little kids. Power Rangers, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Beetleborgs, we'll throw them in there too. And like the fact that Horikoshi is taking that concept and fucking rocking with it. I love it. I love it, man. And so a little bit more into the movie, they find the bad guy. They find the evil lair. And let's go. Now, if you're still watching us and you don't want to be spoiled anymore, finally, the fights. Bro. I just want to go back and watch Bakugo's fight scene. I don't know.
So, leading into the fights, they find out where the hidden lair is, and Brody and Todoroki, Deku, and Bakugo on their way to the lair. They inform everybody, so everybody knows. But one of the upbeat moments is where Brody says, "Hey, so the plan is for Fletch to take out the main heroes, so he can go on with his plan. We need to get the heroes out of there." In which
they finally find the bombs.
Going to say, it's not going to work.
It's not going to work.
If you are a true hero, like they are, they're not going to leave. They're not even learn this information. We're going to tell them what's going on, but we already know what they're going to do.
And they were like, yeah, that's right.
And sure enough, everybody said, okay, they're on their way there. We need to stay behind, support, find these bombs, get them out. Which they did. Endeavor takes one and flies off.
Pulls a Batman from that movie. What was it? The Return of the Dark Knight, where he flew off with the bomb with the jet.
Dark Knight Rises.
Dark Knight Rises. Because he took his Endeavor's like, all right, I'm taking it. He goes out there. Uraraka is like makes one float.
Hogs takes one off with his feathers. Cementos,
like he sealed one, which I thought was cool too. And I'm like, everybody's about to sacrifice himself, but I think the only one that had like the best score in that situation was Cementos, because he did seal the bomb off. It was super cool, and I loved it. I loved how everybody like when they montage the heroes like a true hero, and it cuts to all the heroes finding everything, and then they also get the alert from Deku and all them, like, we found a way to stop the bombs. And, you know, like, that was really cool too. And, bro, if you thought Frieza's fight with Goku and Katakuri's fight with Luffy, okay, typical villain aspect, there was a bomb and a timer for all the bombs to go off at once all over the world.
I think at the time we were told they had an hour and a half.
They had an hour and a half, but then the final fights, it was like, what, 10? The start of it, I think, was like 10, 15 minutes, something like that.
5 minutes.
5 minutes. But the start of all the fights was 10 minutes? Or like, was it like when Deku
started, all the fights was like 30 minutes.
Okay, 30 minutes. 30 minutes. And I mean, it's fight time. And Rhodey ends up going up to the island. And of course, Deku, Bakugo, and Todoroki jump out of the plane. Rhodey doesn't know how to. He wants to become a pilot, but he like wrecks the plane. And then, of course, the society that wants to get rid of metahumans rolls up on him.
Well, no, he didn't. He didn't crash it. He was about to land, and they said, "No, you go back to your brother and sister."
Mm-hmm.
But you know, as movie plot,
yeah,
he actually turns around. That's part. If he crashed on purpose.
Yeah,
because he was.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And so we're at the point now. We're at the gate. We're at the final boss. I'm Mario. Here's Bowser in this evil castle, and we're going into this part of the movie, the final climax, and the fight scenes.
Let's go ahead and get Todoroki's out of the way.
No. We gotta go in order. We gotta go in order because we're at the gate. Of course, they gotta divide and conquer. We're gonna jump back because all the fights jump back and forth. So we gotta be fair. We gotta be fair to all of them. For all of our fans out there and for all the My Hero fans out there, we gotta distribute this. We gotta do this part right. Okay? So they pull up to the gate. They're up there. These two, like, twin brothers who have, like, I guess, like, this serpent like style of
their name was like
Hero or something, Serpentinus or something like that.
Their name was Serpentine.
Yeah, or Serpentis or something like that. And they basically have Serpenters. And they basically have this quirk where they can like whip these. They can transform their body into like these metal scythe whip chain things. He's gonna show you here on the other screen. And these guys right here, Bakugo fights both of them. And Todoroki's like, Bakugo, you stay here and fight him. I'm like, I love how Todoroki just knew Bakugo was just gonna stay there and fight. And I was like, don't do that. But
you also said, don't tell me what to do.
Yeah, he's like, don't tell me what to do. Icy hot bastard. Like, and the maneuvering and this is where like the animation definitely Like, it was really, really good. Because once I saw how those guys were moving, I was like, okay, this had to be Bakugo's fight. The aerial maneuvers, the land maneuvers, the whole animation for that scene, I could watch over and over and over again. And we're gonna, like I said, because all the fights are gonna hop back and forth, because that's just how anime and comics and fights work. You hop around to build a climax. So they get a little bit further in there, and of course, like lower level members of the organization are trying to like stop them. And like this, you know who that guy looks like? His name's Leviathan. I did see that. The guy from the Roki fight.
Yep.
He looked like Venom, or that creature from the ending of Jujutsu Kaisen. That's exactly who he looked like.
Sure, you got a picture of him.
Yeah, Todoroki fights this big rock.
Oh no.
SOB.
Don't take a break.
Yeah, for real though. Pull him up real quick, and then we'll go into the fight, just so you can see these characters. Yeah, that guy is a beast. I actually liked him. I really thought, and to be honest, I thought Todoroki was going to be the fight to watch. But it wasn't. And then, of course, like, they split up. Deku gets further ahead, so does Rhodey, and then Deku goes ahead. Sorry, Rhodey's not there yet. And then, of course, Deku confronts Fleck. So, we're hopping around to the fight scenes now. Bro, I loved how me, you, Julie, and Q, we were all watching it. And when the Serpentine twins stabbed Bakugo, we were all like, oh, this is where this movie's going.
And that was the first one.
Yeah, that was like the first initial like strike. Like, he's moving around, he's fighting, he's giving them a run for their money.
Close to Zaya too.
Yeah, like, I mean, they're effing Bakugo up. They're messing him up. And I was like, ooh. I was like, damn, I don't know if Bakugo's gonna win it. I mean, like, even like me, I was like, I don't know, maybe Todoroki's coming out. You know what I mean? Because I didn't know the concept of the movie. And I was like, bro, like, I don't know how this is gonna go, because this is really, really good. And, you know, we cut over, and of course, Todoroki runs into Leviathan. And this guy, I don't know the exact power to put it on, but he can like manipulate his blood or something like that. What's
I was just reading it.
Yeah, like it's like his quirk or something. Okay, because it explains the quirk. That's also cool about this book. So if a lot of questions weren't answered, the book tells you. And I highly recommend watch the movie first. Don't read the book, because they give it to you at the movie theater.
I thought it was blood.
I thought it was blood too.
It's just colored red.
But what is it? What is it?
It's just water, and he can just weaponize it.
Oh, that explains why he can. Okay, so he can manipulate. He pretty much can manipulate water, but he can manipulate his body temperature, because that's how he was able. So Todoroki's fight with this guy. This guy ends up. He's messing up Todoroki, and Todoroki's trying. What I also too loved was, did you see Todoroki's like little new move that he was doing?
Talking about the fire fist?
No, not the fire fist part. That was cool. That's the climax. But when he was using the ice and the fire as whips from his fingertips.
Oh, I did see that, yeah.
That was super cool. That was really cool. I was like, that's new. I haven't seen him do that before.
I was wondering who that was coming from, and then it backed up, and it showed Todoroki, and I'm like,
oh yeah, in the opening scene.
They were in the hallway.
Yeah, and I was like, that's really cool. And what I loved about it is the animation they stepped up for Todoroki too. I think that was a lot of money on that one, because how they were transitioning the flames and the ice was really, really cool. Mm-hmm. And of course, you know, Deku's fighting the main villain, Fleck, and Fleck's ability is Reflect. And he basically is a mirror. Anything that hits him reflects back. And, you know, everybody's kind of getting their ass kicked in the beginning, and then it cuts back to Bakugo. And here we are in this final sequence. Bakugo kind of is getting the better end of the fight, and like he's exploding, he's moving, like moving around throughout the air. Really cool. And, you know, next thing you know, they took that drug to amplify their core.
Because he beat him.
He beat him, yeah. He did beat him. He had him in the rubble in the first part. Mm-hmm. Before.
He dropped grenades. I guess part of they hide in his gauntlet. He dropped grenades and rubble fell on him, bunch of rocks. Mm-hmm. And then like you see like a scene where they're under the rocks and they take the enhancement.
The enhancement.
And then they just shoot out. Mm-hmm. And we're like, Bakugo's eyes already closed.
They slit his eye. They stabbed through his body twice. They stabbed through his leg, his back. And he's like, he even said, he's like, screw it, my eye. And he actually opens his eye, and it's blood in his eye. So his eye's red at this point, broken blood vessels and everything. And he's like, you guys want to get crazy? Because I can get crazy too. And like
round 2.
Yeah, he's like, round 2 now. And like, he starts getting, and once again, we see how smart he is. And he's placing grenades as he's moving around. He's still getting cut up. He's still getting stabbed. He's moving around. And he's placing grenades everywhere. And he times it where they're underneath this pillar. And he has the grenades all over. And then the grenades on his arm that he holds his sweat. He throws them at them. And then lights it all up. And the rubble falls on him again. And I can't remember what his, like, he's all beat up. His whole uniform's trashed, and he's like covered in blood. And he's like, screw you guys. Like, he's
and just passes out. Yeah, and then like the whole theater just chuckled because like,
we're like, yes.
Like, take a break, bro.
Take a break. And then fast forward to Todoroki. He's getting worked by the virus.
Let's go back a bit.
Where are we going to?
A man gives a compliment where it's due. Bakugo was freaking ripped.
Dude. My man was shredded. He's shredded.
Whoever drew Bakugo during that scene, like, give him
that was a grown-ass man fighting out there. That was a grown-ass man.
He was shredded.
Dude, I was like, literally shredded and literally shredded. Dude had an 8-pack and he's just kind of like, F this. Passes out.
And even in the meantime of all that, Todoroki's still fighting. They end up going down.
They fall into like a ravine where there's water, and like Todoroki is like
trying to stay afloat.
Yeah, and this guy keeps like altering the water, and we even got confused with it too. We're like, why doesn't he just freeze it? But he can alter his blood. It's water, so he can change his body temperature. Who can also change their body temperature? Todoroki. So, emitting the ice and the flames and things like that, Todoroki's getting frustrated. And as they're in this ravine, like Todoroki like looks over as it's underwater. He's like, I'm about to pass out. And you see this light. Well, it looks like it comes out to a waterfall where everything's distributed. And Todoroki's fight, I will say, was probably the lackluster out of the 3. And I'm not bashing the writers. I'm not bashing the anime for it because he's been OP since day 1. But I mean, you know, what can you do? He's pretty much an environmental fighter, so it really just depends where you put him, how the fight's gonna go. And of course, jumping in the water would enhance Leviathan's abilities because he can manipulate it. But you know, coming out of the ravine, like that scene, and he whips the fire and the ice again from his fingertips, and he's fighting him, and he actually lights him on fire this time. And now they're out of water, and then we find out Leviathan can also heat his body temperature. And he looks like a.
That was the first thing he noticed, that his fire didn't have effect on him.
Yeah, and he was like he can manipulate fire too. And he's like, what am I gonna do with this? Like, what's going on? He goes, all right.
I was honestly still confused. I still don't get how you beat him.
I don't either, and I guess it was just the will. The willpower.
It was something. I might have to watch it again. I honestly did not understand how Todoroki beat him. I mean, I'm not mad that Todoroki did beat him. I'm just confused on how he did.
I was confused a little bit too.
They made it seem like he came to like he had a sudden idea when he saw the opening, and I'm like, okay.
What was the opening?
It was just going out on the waterfall.
No, but I'm saying, like, what was the opening? You know what I mean? Like, the vital spot, how did he know? Like, I'm agreeing with you. Like, how would you, like...
Yeah, I don't get it.
Like I said, like, I was like, I kind of wanted a little bit more. Well, like you said, too, with everything going on with the series, we're probably going to get that more later on. And, I mean, if you want to pay homage to him, I will say, he took Prominence Burn and turned it into a Fire Fist.
It was something else that happened that reminded me of One Piece. I can't remember what it was.
I'm gonna get to it. I think I know what it is.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So of course,
because I said it out loud in the movie theater.
Yeah. So Todoroki lands. You know, he finally can manipulate fire too. Then I'm gonna let off my strongest technique that I know, and of course, it comes from his fire side. He's like, as hot as I can. And he was like, something fire fist. That's all I remember.
But I think he said it wasn't flash fire. It wasn't.
It was. It was flash fire fist. That's what it was. Flash, because it's flash fire when he sprays it. That's what he did against Deku. So he did flash fire fist and actually came into contact with the guy, which could possibly be like how he struck a vital point. But I mean,
because he announced it as his strongest attack. He was like, "No, this is my strongest attack."
Mm-hmm.
And like freaking ace.
Yeah, exactly. And then of course, fast forward a little bit. Of course, he wins his fight. So we're 2-0, and now we're at Deku's fight with Fleck in the middle of it. And Deku is getting lit. Deku got that shit beat out of him. You got shot with multiple lasers.
Not to mention, he still was taken out from that arrow shot from Homegirl.
Yeah, and I know we still haven't gotten to Rhodey's quirk yet either. We'll get to that in a minute. Oh yeah, the arrow girl. I think her name is like Barrow or something like that, or Barrows. I think she's towards that end.
Yep, Barrows. Well, yeah, Barrows.
I liked her arrow ability, but I don't know. I felt like I could have done more with her too.
I mean, if you're keeping up with the manga, you definitely see a relation to somebody else that's in the manga.
And so Deku is basically like he's taking L's right now, and we start to learn a little bit about Fleck. And Fleck basically just has issues with society for rejecting him for being a metahuman. And that's why he wants to get rid of metahumans. Kind of silly.
He didn't get hugged as a child.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, what do you say? His parents left him. His friends left him. His love interest left him. And I was like, yeah, just talking to Batman.
Teacher thing too.
Yeah, and so we're watching that fight, and it was very, very back and forth because that fight was elongating. Meanwhile, the timer is still going for the bombs to ignite. And that was the longest 5-10 minutes I've ever seen in my life. That time, I was like, ain't no way in hell, man.
It was like 10 seconds, but it still went on for like another 2 minutes. Like, man, that's BS.
So, well, also, too, like, Fleck kind of got a little bit of an ego because Deku ended up figuring it out. And, of course, Rhodey shows up with the key. And we see his little birdie. And it flashes back to when Deku's asking him what his quirk is. And he's talking to Fleck, and he goes, you're a good boy. He goes, your father did the same thing. You're a smart man. Clearly it runs in your family. And he comes over with the SD card, ready to give it to Fleck. And the little birdie pokes out. You know, and she's like, looking at Deku, and she's like, and we're like, what? The fuck? What? So obviously he's going to betray Fleck. He goes, all right, fine. He goes, yeah, but it's not what a hero would do. And of course, knocks it out of his hand and runs past Fleck, gets shot with a laser. And Deku's like, come on, Rhodey, get up. You gotta keep going. If you're going, I'm going. He's like, kick his ass, Deku. And he's like, all right, let's go. So then Deku figures out Fleck's ability has a limit.
Fleck didn't even know his ability had a limit.
He's like, why am I running out? He goes, because you haven't been training. He goes, you quit. I didn't. And now he's pressing the pace even more, and he's working on it, and he's firing out everything. And I love how he taps into like 100% like it's nothing, though. 100% all one for all.
Well, I think he always could, but it just hurts him.
Yeah, exactly.
And then we get Gum Jet Gatlin.
Yeah, when he sat there and he's like, ah. And I was like, yeah, you leaned over my ear, you were like, Jet Gatling.
Well, we got Fire Fist, now we got Jet Gatling.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, okay, cool. I'll give you that one piece. And he ends up beating the bad guy, and of course, like everybody, like I said, the blood and the gore in this was on point. I loved it. Mm-hmm. And Deku, of course,
lost a lot of blood. And
it's 10 seconds at this point. And like I said, all the heroes at the same time are figuring out a way to get these bombs away from society and like willing to sacrifice themselves. And it's like 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, and then like, what happened? What's going on? Where's everything at? Where's the explosion? And they're still flying up into the atmosphere like, it's not going. It's not
It was like, yeah, Rock actually pointed out, she was like, the timer's done, but nothing's happening with the bomb.
And Deku runs into Rhodey and Pino, his little birdie, and we find out Pino ends up putting the SD card in the key to shut off the bombs. And we find out that his ability or quirk is called Soul. And what it is, he manifests this little bird who's his inner self. And his inner self is the true him. And he wasn't going to betray anyone. He wasn't going to do anything bad and things like that. And you actually go back and watch the movie. And Q actually pointed this out. When he's asleep, Pino's asleep. When he's awake, Pino's awake. And then, of course, when he got injured, Pino was injured.
And he was tired.
Yeah.
Pino was tired.
It was his inner self. So kind of walking around with a Jiminy Cricket on your shoulder.
Pretty much. So pretty much what Pino pretty much did was just, however Rhodey really felt.
That was his true intentions.
So that's why, because we were wondering why Pino woke Deku up to tell him that the suitcase was gone.
Yeah.
Because Rhodey really wanted to be stopped. He was just like, yeah, I want Deku to stop me. I know what I'm doing is wrong.
Mm-hmm. And once you get the symbolism of it at the end of the movie, which I will give that credit to this movie. Once you get the symbolism of it at the end of the movie, I was like, oh, that makes total sense now.
It was so cute because they were in the airport leaving, and Deku was like, yeah, I'm going to miss you and stuff like that. And Rhodey was like, yeah, man, whatever.
Yeah.
Don't come back. Because
and Pino was like,
crying.
Yeah.
And Deku just came in and just hugged him. And then Rhodey dropped his crush and hugged him.
Yeah, exactly, man. Closing out, I guess. Like I thought it was a really good movie. I mean, I'll watch it again. I'll watch any of them again. Mm-hmm. I just really love the franchise. But, you know, the second one was the best one. I'm sorry. The second one was the best one. That's my opinion. But I did get a cool little booklet with it.
It's a cool booklet.
Like I said, they're giving these out. Limited time to go see.
We didn't even know they were giving those out.
We didn't know. The theater guy was like,
oh yeah. It was like an oh yeah thing. Like, oh yeah, you guys want one of these? Like, want a what?
Want a what?
I thought it was just going to be a postcard like they did for the One Piece movie Stampede. I thought it was just going to be like a little.
Yeah, One Piece isn't going to give you a manuscript for anything. Like they're keeping that hush hush. So that's how I look at One Piece. One Piece is definitely going to make sure that story gets told the right way. But anything else you'd like to contribute to the movie besides my narration and talking? It hurts a lot to talk.
What do you mean I talked?
I mean, yeah, you did. I just talk a lot. It's my ADHD.
So you talk. That's what you say.
I feel like I did. Did I? Was it okay? I don't know either.
Let the viewers decide. If you made it this far, guys, does Garrett talk a lot? Does he over talk me? Does he interrupt me a lot?
Well, you know what?
Let him know.
Let me know. Let me know. Let me know.
The movie was absolutely awesome. The visuals were there. Besides the animation drops, but again, it's like it's minor, but I noticed it, and
I think they were putting it in better spots.
So you also find out like why. Because we were watching, and I'm leaned over to you, and I'm like, yo, where's Ida? And then when you finally finish the movie and you understand the plot and what the story was trying to tell, there's no reason Ida could have gone, because Ida has freaking jet engines in his legs. So he would have found, running around, he would have found the bombs in no time. Eraserhead definitely couldn't have gone.
He wasn't even in the movie.
He showed up in pictures in the end when he finally got back to school.
Yeah, he wasn't even.
He definitely could not go, because
that'd be too OP.
Stepping in the room with Fletch, he just would have looked at him, and Fletch would have been like, "Oh,
exactly.
Okay."
I think they're saving something. Like, besides what we've already read in the manga and other things and stuff like that, I think there's a big reason why Eraserhead can't come to a lot of different things, because it would definitely pause a lot of things. But he's already about to get his moment coming up in the anime. Not spoiler.
He's been shown to stop Shigaraki.
I just said don't. I just said don't do that. I just said his moment's coming up.
That's not a spoiler. He can stop anybody with a click.
But the way it happens, though.
Well, I didn't tell it to be happen. I just said he can stop Shigaraki.
You know what? Let us know what you guys think. Definitely go see this movie.
That explains it.
What?
while One for All didn't have any eyes. Do you think that's on purpose?
We'll do a conspiracy video next.
I mean, well, he has eyes now, so it really doesn't matter. But I'm just ruining everything. I don't care. But
That's probably why. Yeah.
I think that was just in case plot, like just in case they came across each other. Like, but anyway.
I hate you.
He raised his OP.
Let us know what you guys think. Definitely go watch My Hero Academia World Heroes Mission. 4.5 out of 5. 9.5 out of 10. Really good. Highly recommend. Kids are even there too. Take your kids to go see it if they're fans. Make sure you hit that bell for notifications. Like and subscribe. Follow us on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, whatever. We'll check you guys out next time. Anime and Beer. Out.